which understanding of multiverse theory do you think is in line with what could possibly be? Because it sounded like your your idea of the multiverse theory was the one in which it's like simultaneous inhabitants, and what we're seeing when we see spirits and we think they're spirits of the dead, they're actually spirits or people moving through another timeline in another universe.
You're good, John. You're good.
I try to be.
He explained that to me the other day.
Okay.
That's
well, fine. You can be on our show anytime. That's effectively it. Now, the multiple worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics, or the MWI, comes out of the 1950s. A grad student named Elliot came up with this, and he made it work. But before that, 1952, Einstein he wrote a book called Relativity, and of course the theory is relativity also, that essentially
I know it.
all things are simultaneous. There is no past, there is no future. It's all happening at once. It's just that it's a function of our consciousness, and really our mass consciousness together that makes things seem like they're in the past and in the future. So one of the things that this, of course, wreaks havoc with.
Boom! Hold on, we need to go over that real quick.
Yeah, say that.
He just
one more
said
time.
history is actually other people's. Like, say that again. What?
Well, everything is essentially simultaneous. That's what has been shown. So, what does this do to stuff like reincarnation? Past lives. So, I would always ask reincarnation therapists, or regression therapists, as they call themselves, which they suppose they will hypnotize you and take you back to your past lives. But if Einstein is correct, there aren't any past lives because there's no past.
Yeah.
So, what does this mean? So, I'll ask them. Gee, did you ever regress somebody who described a world that you didn't recognize, or who gave you a date that didn't make any sense? It was like the 23rd, 24th century, and they say, funny you should say, because just last week somebody gave me this combination of letters and numbers for a date. It didn't make any sense. So if this is what it appears to be, and when I first started in this in the 70s, hypnotism was falling out of favor, but now it's been rehabilitated and they take it seriously again. So in any case, I think what
like
we
any
may be
good,
dealing with.
fashion.
Like you said, like I heard about. I actually listened to. We listen to Howard Stern a lot. I heard somebody on the show get hypnotized, just like you're saying, to be brought to a past life.
On Howard Stern.
On Howard Stern.
But there must have been a barn burner.
And he was a turtle in his past, and he was legit. and he said that he was a turtle.
He's a fucking turtle.
He said, "I'm a turtle," and he was like legit. As far as I know, like legitimately hypnotized.
Well, maybe we should call hypnotism back into question again.
Right?
Define being hypnotized.
So this dude thought that he was a turtle in a past life, that he was actually a female turtle, and he was pregnant, and he had the eggs and all that stuff. And he
I love
all
it.
these thoughts came out of like nowhere. He said, "I've never thought of any of these things in my life."
Well,
before.
Larry, we laugh at that, but the weirdest thing, probably the hardest thing to grasp about the multiverse idea, besides it all being simultaneous, is that every possibility really does exist in one or more worlds in this multiverse. So, and anything that you can conceive of that's possible could be. So, I hate to say it, but this guy may have
created his own.
Maybe, or been in some form that we might consider alien, but that he would interpret with his mind here as being a turtle. I mean, all that is possible.
It's wild.
What his experience allows
wild.
him to define it as. Yeah. Think about it, like when you've tripped on shrooms, salvia, whatever and the only way that you can vocalize something ends up coming out like
Okay, I never heard a turtle say that, but I get your point.
You've never heard them go they do some
lately.
noise. You need to cue that up. It's the
Take me too long now.
It's the turtle orgasm.
Yeah.
Look it up. Do some research, all right?
Turtle orgasm.
Turtle orgasm. Delete your history afterwards. Whoever is paying attention to your search history, the wife or the CIA, you don't want them to know.
Surprised.
God damn. So, all right. Multiverses. You talked about how multiverses and how it calls into question or calls for reassessment of ideologies and reincarnation and things like that. things of that matter. Going, the faith side. What if we were to go to the science side? When we see aliens, UFOs, for the most part, I mean, other people have claimed to see other things, but is that us? How would you? I don't know. Is that us experiencing another universe? Like, what if we really are in this pocket universe the only life forms? What if, because of our consciousness?
Now, don't forget there are turtles.
Oh yeah, inhabitable planet is what I mean. Sorry, we can't forget about the turtles. But
Oh, the tiny
we're
dinosaurs.
losing it. We're losing it.
We're
No,
losing it.
but if we're talking about consciousness maybe creates reality. What if this reality is a reality where we've chosen that we are the only inhabitants in this entire universe?
I hear you.
I think,
if you
therefore I am. Type.
Yeah, well, that doesn't really have any. Or as the skunk would say, I stink, therefore I am. That was supposed to be a joke. Anyway, no, I get what you're saying there, Larry. But there should be some sort of a universe. Since you can conceive of it, there must be a universe in which we are the only quote unquote intelligent life forms, right?
Quote unquote.
But again, there might be variations on that. But then again, the caveat there is that this has to be possible.
Oh.
So the question is, what is
possible
when in different worlds, different universes, the laws of physics may be very different, which is why I could stand there with a couple of cops on one side, a couple of firefighters on the other, and watch a refrigerator float at that Bridgeport house in 1974. I was working on that poltergeist case.
But there is also this correlation in multiverse theories that the reason why we are able to conceive of these possibilities and even exist is because certain properties of that universe allow us to live. So, I mean...
Yeah. Well, one of the other more difficult things to accept and to get our minds around in this kind of thinking is that not only do you have simultaneous past and future, you have many, many different worlds where all things are possible. There are many different versions of you out there, okay?
Where?
There's a thought, isn't it, Larry?
Where, though?
Oh, it's a question of where and when. All sorts of different places.
That's
everything
what becomes...
everything is possible. This is why we have an illustration in one of the books of circles, like bubbles. And physicists actually have referred to the creation at the Big Bang, which is another thing being called into question right now.
Yeah, I heard that too.
Yeah, of a space-time foam, like in your sink or bathtub. And all these different bubbles would be different worlds, but they're not just totally separate. They can join, they can connect at certain places, they can pop. And in many of these are us, maybe not even in the forms we are. I'll give you an example, Larry and John. I love to speak at colleges.
Mind blown.
Because they ask intelligent questions, and at the end they kind of put me in a big armchair like Santa Claus, and all the students come up and they tell me what they tell me their stories. Well, I was at Mount Ida College up near Boston, and I got a kick out of that because half the students are studying to be undertakers. I thought that was a riot.
Really?
So, two freshman girls came up after I spoke. And they said,
"Oh yeah,
we had never, we had never seen each other before. We never knew each other before. But on registration day, we saw each other across the room, and we were sisters from the start. And they'd been great friends ever since." They said, "Why is that?" And I'd been talking about human relationships in the multiverse, and I said, "Well, because if this is correct, at some point, at some place, at some time in the multiverse, there is a world where you are each other." Literally and completely. They knew precisely what I was talking about, and they went scurrying off, delighted that they thought they'd found an answer.
I can't even take that information in. I don't even know what to do with it.
Well,
nope. He just goes, nope.
Yeah, well,
It hits a certain part of my brain, and it's like, fuck
Then
you.
well, as I said, that's why.
Then
I say
you
it's the
delete the
hardest
file
thing.
and go back. What?